Evening, everybody. It's 8 o'clock. I know that it's late. Excuse me. And there's not going to be a daily note tonight. So I hope you're watching this because we got an emergency call from the town, I guess, telling us that there's a weather emergency from noon tomorrow until noon Sunday with temperatures below zero and high winds. So they're saying minus 30. So I guess this will be the first really cold period that we've had in a while, but at least they're not calling for snow. But I will be back first thing in the morning because tomorrow we have non farm payrolls, average hourly earnings, average hourly work week, the unemployment rate, etc. Okay, so it was a pretty extreme day, and the NASDAQ was uh, a huge winner, up 385. But tonight it's down 172. And that's primarily based on Amazon, Google, and Apple, all having various mixed numbers. Uh, Apple had its first decline in revenue since 2016, and it had closed at 150.82, up 539. After the numbers, it traded as high as 152.08 and then down to 140.89. The last that I have is 145.90, up 47 cents or a quarter of a percent, but that's a solid $5 lower than it was at the close. Google had its first decline in advertising revenue. It had closed 107.74, up 731, traded up to 112.17, and then down to 100.85. The last there is 103.30, up 287 or 2.9%. But that's $4 lower than it was at the close. And Amazon, with a mixture of disappointments vis a vis some of their divisional stuff, it closed 112.91, up 776, traded up to 117.5 on the headline, and then traded down to 103.94. The last there, 107.5, up 235 or 2.3%, but $5.50 below where it closed at 4 o'clock. Everybody knows about Meta, up 23%. Hell of a move, just incredible. However, in the Dow stocks, things were a little sloppier. We had Merck closing 103.46, down 352 or 3.2%, and that took $23 off the Dow. The big loser, though, was UNH on talk about Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements. UNH took 167 points off the Dow. Boeing took another 36, and for the third day in a row, Caterpillar was a major contributor to the downside, taking another 31 off the Dow. So tomorrow we'll see a bit of a reverse here. The Aapl took about $40, added about $40 to the Dow. So tomorrow that will be about a $50 decline at the open. And the only other major mover to the upside was Home Depot, adding 77 points to the Dow. So transports, uh, a pretty big winner here, up 442 or 2.9, but the Nasdaq, as I said, up 384 or 3.25% was the big winner. S&P was up 60. or 1.5%, and the Dow, which was all over the place and spent most of the day solidly down, rallied at the close and closed down only 39 and change, or 0.1%. Um, Volume was huge on the NYSE and the Nasdaq. We're talking about 6.9 billion. Um, Yesterday was 5 billion, so that's 40% higher, pretty extreme. Advanced declines on the NYSE were 2.4 to 1, about the same on the Nasdaq. So, uh, very disappointing day in the precious metals for us. The silver was up almost $1, finished down a little bit. Um, I'm not sure that this move is over. The options that we're in gave back a bunch, but are still in the neighborhood that we paid for them. So a little bit of a pullback doesn't really bother me, but I'd have to see how it acts tomorrow. Same situation with the gold. It was as high as 1967, and right now, tonight, after the reopen, it's 1930. So that's pretty extreme. Um, Copper also lower. Platinum was a little bit lower, and palladium a little bit higher, so not much going on there. Uh, the meats were all up, the cattle, the feeder cattle, the hogs, etc. Cotton and coffee both up, and sugar also continues higher, up another 30 cents. The lumber was 512, up a little, but that's a pretty nice move off that 375 area. The S&P tonight, right now, down 22 and a half. Nasdaq, as I said, down about 173. The Dow down 30, and the Russell down $1.60. The dollar was up 54 cents today. Bitcoin, excuse me, is down a little, traded nicely above 24,400. Ethereum down 35, so that's still pretty extreme. And the bonds are up for 30 seconds, so really not much there. All right, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience, but I'll be back first thing in the morning with a look at all of those numbers. Have a good evening.